Hello guys, Ben here, and we're going to take the I Side With quiz. Now, uh, this will be the third and final question I'll look at, and this kind of is to tell you who, and before you ask, this is actually recorded the day before the 2016 presidential election, and I've taken this a few times. I took it in the primaries, and actually I found out I supported Austin Peterson, or I sided most with Austin Peterson, or Daryl Perry, though I think Austin Peterson was a little bit closer to my views. Unfortunately, he had a not so great view. Also, what's his face? John McAfee was also pretty close to me. So, anyway, without further ado, we're going to get right into it. What is your stance on abortion? We're going to look at this. This is basically what it is, but I think we're going to do this one because that's a little bit there, but it's not really that important to me, to be quite honest with you. Do you support the legalization of same-sex marriage? Exactly. Take the government out of marriage. And again, this is if you're gonna have like marriage subsidies, then yeah, make it legal, but take the government out of marriage. Should the government continue to fund Planned Parenthood? No. And this one's kind of important because it involves money. And we're gonna answer the extended quiz, every question. Should gay couples have same adoption rights as same-sex couples? Yes. I just want to look at what the other ones. Yep. Again, as long as they have to pass the same background checks, then it's less important. Should a business be able to deny social service to a customer? Yes, of course. For any reason. And I'm going to say this is somewhat important to me because honestly, I could care less. We've got bigger fish to fry. Should health insurance providers be required to offer free birth control? No. Should not decide what private businesses and services, what they shouldn't determine what business can provide. And this is actually pretty big. Anyway, we're going to just keep going. Should gender identity be added to anti-discriminatory laws? I really don't care about this, so that said, society has become way too concerned with how they identify themselves instead of actual issues. So basically, don't add more laws, but I don't really give two shits about this issue. Do I support the death penalty? Yeah, exactly. And this is, somewhat important to me. Not really, but, mainly, again, we've got bigger fish to fry. Assisted suicide? No, but they should be allowed to refuse artificial life support. And I'm just going to be somewhat. And like I said, we're answering every single question. Should the government support a separation of church and state by removing references to God on money, federal buildings, and national monuments? Oh. Yeah, but don't waste money. Should the military allow women to serve in combat roles as long as they can pass the same physical test as a man? Should marital rape be classified and punished as severely as non-marital rape? Yeah. And lol. If you're what? That last one. That makes zero sense if you're married to the person. I mean, that's kind of to be, fucking expected. Should businesses be required to have women on their board of directors? No. should never require the diversity of public or of a private business. Oh my. Should states be allowed to display the Confederate flag on government property? I'm going to say every state should have the right to display any flag they choose. And especially at historical monuments where they were originally flown. And again, I will always fight for states' rights. Should women be allowed to wear a hijab or face veil to civic ceremonies? Yeah, of course. I don't give two. I don't care, but at the same time, it's like, why are we trying to regulate people's lives? Where do you side on environmental issues? Should the government increase environment? No. Short answer, no. I'm going to say this because there's somewhat good evidence, but at the same time, we don't really know just yet. The jury is still out. And therefore, we cannot make a decision at this time. Do you support the use of hydraulic fracking to extract oil and natural gas resources? I don't really. I care at the same time, but we need more research. Somewhat important to me, but I don't really care. Should the government give tax credits and subsidies to the... No, the government should not be given subsidies anywhere. Here we go. And all tax credits to the energy industry. Should the U.S. expand offshore oil drilling? Let the free market decide. That's a good answer. And I completely agree with that. Where do you side on economic issues? Should the federal government raise the federal minimum wage? No, and eliminate all federal wage standards. Okay, the minimum wage is... The minimum wage has done more harm than it's done good. It's priced workers out of the workforce. And unfortunately, it's created a situation where you are actually having forced artificial inflation because of the minimum wage. Should welfare recipients be tested for drugs? Regardless, we should end all social welfare programs. I agree with that statement. Should the government make cuts to public spending in order to reduce the national debt? Also, guys, if you do take this quiz, always use the other stances, and if you need to, add your own. Should the government make cuts to public spending in order to reduce the national debt? Yes. And eliminate all agencies that are unconstitutional. I think it should reduce all spending, but let's focus on that one to start with. Should businesses be required to provide paid leave for full-time employees during the birth of a child or sick family member? It's a great thing, and I would encourage businesses to do it, and I would love for businesses to do it, but they shouldn't be required to. This is the thing. And this is the thing. Businesses should decide what competitive incentives they order. But I don't think it'll be a tragedy if a law is passed in that regard. And honestly, I probably wouldn't veto it if it made it to my desk, because even the most hardcore libertarians can understand why. Okay, businesses should decide the amount of incentives. However, if that bill were on my desk and I was president or a governor of state and that bill were on my desk about whether or not I'm going to have required parental leave for businesses, I'm probably going to sign that bill. Should employers be required to pay men and women the same salary for the same job? Okay. There's actually a video of Milton Friedman explaining why an equal pay amendment is a bad idea. And here's what it is. If a woman is more productive and yet a business still hires a man in that position and decides to continue doing so, they're losing out economically. Because they could hire a woman at the same rate for the same job and be gaining. As well as the fact that, you know what, they're, paying a little bit less. But, and I know it's horrible that they be paid a little bit less, but at the same time, the women would have a job. However, if you force equal pay, in all likelihood, a business that is run by someone who's a sexist is going to say, I'm not going to be losing any money if I choose a man over a woman. The production's basically the same. I think I'll just hire the man instead, just because, whatever beliefs. So, no. There is a gender wage gap, yes. The government should never determine what businesses should pay employees. And that's basically what it is. Should the government require businesses to pay salaried employees making up to $46,000 time and a half for overtime hours? The government is overregulating private business. This is true, and that's what I'm going to do. Should the U.S. raise or lower the corporate tax? Income tax? No. It should not raise. Remove tax on corporations? No. The current tax code. That's what I'm going to say. Okay, and should there be fewer or more restrictions on current welfare benefits? If we're going to have it and slowly phase it out, we need to ensure that the benefits go to the right place. But I'd focus on trying to phase the programs out. Do you believe unions help or hurt the economy? Help in theory, but recently they've become corrupt and should have their powers limited. And that's actually a ballot question here in Virginia, where I am. And the question is right to work. Should we become a right to work state? And I agree with it. We should be a right to work state. Should the Federal Reserve Bank be edited by Congress? Yes, but I would prefer we abolish it and return to the gold standard. I'd prefer a silver standard, to be quite honest with you, for various reasons. But, and part of that's because silver standard is a lot flatter when it comes to cyclic issues. Gold is is actually fairly volatile for a commodity to base your currency on. It's better than a fiat currency, I will say that, but I prefer a silver standard. But if we're going to have a standard, gold is better than nothing. Should the so yeah. Should the and of course for those of you who were wondering why I want to abolish it, watch my. It's a system that controls our economy way too much. Also, to, as my if you were reading my if you watch my nuke map video, I literally basically centered it on the Federal Reserve. So that just to show you how much I hate the Federal Reserve. Should the government increase the tax rate on profits earned from the sale of stocks, bonds, and real estate? No. So I'm going to do this. Replace tax current tax code in favor of fair tax. Okay. Which the fair tax is a really cool bill that I think I've discussed it elsewhere in my channel. If not, maybe I'll do a video on it. Should the government subsidize farmers? No. End all government subsidies and let the free market run its course. Would you favor an increased sales tax in order to reduce property taxes? Yes, but drastically reduce government spending instead of raising taxes. Well, since this is more of a state issue, I'm gonna say this, but I want to put replace tax code with fair tax. So technically yes, but technically no. Should U.S. citizens be allowed to invest their money in offshore bank accounts? Yes. Should the and especially considering I want to replace the tax code, it doesn't matter as long as it's if it's reported or not. Should the U.S. government bail out Puerto Rico? No. Puerto Rico drastically needs to reduce its spending. Should pension plans for federal, state, and local government workers be transferred to privately managed accounts? I'm going to say yes, but only for future workers. Should the current estate tax rate be decreased? We should eliminate it. We need to be focused on reducing taxes and reducing the size of our government. Should pension payments be increased for retired government workers? No. Only as an adjustment for inflation. Payments like this should be adjusted for inflation. Inflation. Okay, should an in-state sales tax apply to online purchases of in-state buyers from out-of-state sellers? This is a very complicated issue. No, the federal, and this is why. This is the reason why I wanted to say no. And I'm glad they had it, so I didn't have to. Do I support the Trans-Pacific Partnership? Too many hidden provisions in this agreement. Basically, it is very much a usurpation of our sovereignty. Should the government use economic stimulus to aid the country during times of recession? No. Recessions are completely natural. Oh, should the government... And this is... I always do this whenever I see... when somebody's like, Bitcoin should be made a currency. Other stances. That's not how currency works. Because it isn't. I'm going to give you the quick economics 101 answer for why Bitcoin should not, why you cannot classify something as a legal currency. Because something is only acceptable as currency if both the buyer and the seller agree that it is currency. To put it another way, both the buyer and the seller have to. I'm trying to find the best way to explain this, but if I am buying something and somebody's selling something, if I try to give them a $5 bill and they don't want to accept it, they don't have to. If they only want to accept gold bars, they only have to accept gold bars. It's, that's not how currency works. Should the government prevent mega mergers of corporations that could potentially control a large percentage of market share within its industry? Government should not interfere with the free market, and antitrust laws are in place. Basically, if there's more than 50% of the market share, yeah, I can see the argument. And we should be doing as much to... Okay, domestic policy. Should there be more restrictions on the current process of purchasing a gun? No. No, no, no. And also, I would love a national stand your ground law. I would love a national stand your ground law. Okay, and there are plenty of other things. And also, by the way, a universal background check has been proven not to be super effective. It's meh on this. Are you in favor of decriminalizing drug use? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Let's go ahead and explain this. I'm going to do this. Do you support affirmative action programs? No one, and I don't like this one, no, because no one should receive any favorable treatment. Unfortunately, this is the wording they have, so unfortunately, that's the wording I have to go with. Again, I will always be pissed off at certain wordings. Should local police increase surveillance and patrol in Muslim neighborhoods? No. Should be based on crime rates. Should victims of gun violence be allowed to sue firearm dealers and manufacturers? No. They shouldn't be held liable for, idiots. That'd be like me selling a car company because I got run over by a drunk driver. You wouldn't do that, would you? If it's stupid for one thing, why is it not stupid for another? Should people on the no-fly list be banned from purchasing guns and ammunition? I actually somewhat agree with this, as long as there is due process. And also this and this. I'm actually going to go ahead and use... I'm actually going to use this one. And this is more important. That's a little bit better. Should Apple unlock the iPhones of suspected terrorists for the FBI? No. Should there be term limits set for the members of Congress? Yes. Will it do those things? No, but we do need term limits. Should corporations and unions, super PACs, be allowed to donate to political candidates? Yes, they should. I'm going to put this as somewhat important. Should the NSA, let's get rid of the NSA. Should internet service providers be allowed to speed up access to popular websites that pay higher rates at the expense of slowing down less popular ones? I'm actually going to say this. It would because that's actually somewhat true. Should the Senate hold hearings on and vote on President Obama's Supreme Court nominee? Yes. Yes, because they should at least do what they're supposed to do. However, it's not a big issue for me. However, if it were. Because, unfortunately, no matter what I say, no matter what others are saying, they are not going to do anything about it. But they do need to hold a hearing, and they do need to at least vote on it. So they do need to do that. By the way, this is going to be a little bit of a longer video for those of you who are still around. Should the government raise the retirement age for Social Security? I prefer it privatized. Yes, but I would prefer it privatized instead. I'm only going to put this as somewhat because it's not. I agree. Do I support the Patriot Act? No. No, 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 no. Jeez. Should the government be allowed to seize private property with reasonable compensation? No. Government shouldn't. If we're not protecting property rights, we're not doing anything. Should redrawn congressional districts be controlled by an independent, nonpartisan commission? You know, mixed member proportional is pretty cool. No. Switch to the shortest split line algorithm. Somewhat important. I would actually support a bill, and if I ever do get into government, I will propose a bill to switch to this method. Should the U.S. government grant immunity to Snowden? He's protected under the Whistleblowers Act. Whoops. Almost done. Where am I? Do I support Obamacare? No. Government should not be involved in health care. Period. It's way too much government. Do I support legalization of marijuana? Yes, 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 yes. And it's actually fairly important to me, not because I smoke it, not because I have a desire to, but because, you know, it's got numerous medical benefits, and it is a good thing. It would, you know, increase the GDP. It would increase economic growth. Should the government regulate the prices of life-saving drugs? No. Government should never regulate prices of businesses. And I know it sounds heartless. Should the government increase funding of healthcare on low-income individuals? Oh, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I'm going to put this as less because we've got bigger fish to fry. Or actually as least. We've got bigger. Should a photo ID be required to vote? Yes. Not necessarily because it will prevent voter fraud or in-person voter fraud. The real reason is because it's a way, it's just basically it's proof of citizenship. Okay, so I mean it's just because most people you need to provide that you're a citizen to get one in most places. And honestly, what's the hassle? I mean, it does need to be made easier to get a valid ID, or at least, when I say easier, I mean, places shouldn't be closed in certain areas. Should there be a limit to the amount of money a candidate can receive from a donor? Violation of free speech. But I don't really care. Should political candidates be required to release their recent tax returns to the public? Add my own stance. No, they shouldn't. That's a private issue. If a candidate doesn't want to disclose that information, they don't have to. On education, do I support increasing taxes for the rich in order? No. Privately managed accounts. Do I support Common Core? No! Handle at the state and local level. Oh my god. Whoops. Let's scroll back down. Foreign policy. Should the U.S. accept refugees from Syria? Extensive background checks. And we should do that with every refugee. Should foreign terrorism suspects be given constitutional rights? Oh. I don't want to touch this issue with the 10-foot pole. I really don't. But at the same time, if we don't treat other... give them a fair trial. I wouldn't say shut down Guantanamo Bay, though honestly, I think putting suspected terrorists in American prison is probably a very good way to get those terrorists killed. To be quite honest, okay? Should the military be allowed to use enhanced interrogation techniques such as waterboarding to gain information from suspected terrorists? Oh boy. Honestly, it's a very ineffective means, but it's a thing. There we go. Should citizens... What the hell? Quit scrolling up, baby. Should every 18-year-old citizen be required to provide at least 1 year of military service? No. No, service should be a choice. Should the U.S. formally declare war on ISIS? No, we should not legitimize them. Should the U.S. remain in the United Nations? Scale back our current involvement and perhaps even leave the UN. I'm kind of on the fence. Should the government increase or decrease military spending? I'd say we need to decrease it because even the Pentagon says that we can be more efficient. Should military fly drones over foreign countries to gain intelligence and kill suspected terrorists? Without a congressional declaration of war, they have no right to. Should the U.S. continue to support Israel? Exactly. Respect Israel's sovereignty. Should the U.S. send ground troops to Syria to fight ISIS? No. We shouldn't. And honestly, we should stay out of this conflict. Should the U.S. increase or decrease foreign aid spending? We should not give foreign aid to any nation. Should the U.S. close the military prison at Guantanamo Bay? We should keep it open because, honestly, if we want to try terrorists like we've indicated we want to, they'd be dead if they went to actual prisons. Do you support President Obama's move to lift the trade travel embargo on Cuba? I actually do, believe it or not. As much as, it pains me to say it, I do agree with that, but it's not really an important issue to me. Should the U.S. conduct military strikes against North Korea in order to destroy their lifelong missile range and nuclear weapons capabilities? We must. Diplomacy is more important. And actually, that is kind of important. Should the U.S. overthrow President Assad of Syria? No. No, 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 no. Did overthrowing Saddam Hussein teach anybody anything about the way that power works in the Middle East? You depose one brutal dictator and you get someone even more brutal than the one you just deposed. Should the U.S. continue NSA surveillance of its allies? No, abolish the NSA. Should the U.S. provide military aid to Saudi Arabia during its conflict with it? No. Stay out of conflicts. Should the U.S. provide military assistance to defend the Ukraine? No. Stay out of conflicts that don't directly involve us. Should the U.S. prevent Russia from conducting airstrikes in Syria? No, we shouldn't get involved. Should the U.S. defend other NATO countries and maintain low military defense budgets relative to their GDP? Here we go. Honestly, we should defend NATO. They're our allies. We should protect them. Should police officers be required to wear body cameras? We're gonna. Since they're government officials, I'm actually gonna agree with this. Should convicted felons have the right to vote? Only after completing their sentences and parole/prohibition. But this is a little less important. Should prisons use... No, they shouldn't ban it, but it's probably being overused, but it's not really important to me. If they want to ban it, go ahead. If they don't, whatever. Should illegal immigrants have access to government-subsidized health care? If they pay taxes, why the hell not? Though I prefer no government health care, so we're actually going to say this one. Okay, should Muslim immigrants be banned from entering the country until it got... No! No. No. Should illegal immigrants be offered in-state tuition rates at public colleges within their residence state? No. Colleges should not have anything to do, should not have different rates. Should not have different rates for different students. Not that huge an issue. Should children what? Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and use this one because, hey, but it's less important to me than a lot of other issues. Immigration really isn't the biggest issue on my list. Should immigrants be required to learn English? No, but we shouldn't require anything. Give me a minute. So we're gonna go to the next question. Should the U.S. increase restrictions on its current border security policies? We should streamline the process. There we go, temporary work visas. But it's not really the most important issue to me. Give me just a second. I need to make sure that things work. Give me a minute. And should working illegal immigrants be given temporary amnesty? Let's go with that one. Simple path with no criminal record. I think that's a fair, honest answer. Should local law enforcement be allowed to detain illegal immigrants for minor crimes and transfer them to federal authorities? Only if they are convicted of a violent crime. I think that's a fair answer, but again, not my biggest issue. Should the U.S. increase or decrease temporary work visas? Honestly, I'm satisfied with the current amount, but we need to streamline the process. Again, not my most important issue. Ooh, science issues. Let me just make sure that was the... Yeah, okay, that was the last question. Should the federal government require children to be vaccinated for preventable diseases? No, that's tyranny. If a parent doesn't want to vaccinate their kid, they shouldn't be forced to. Should producers be required to label genetically engineered foods? Honestly, I don't care, but, I do like labeling, and consumers should know what's in their food. And producers shouldn't be allowed to patent foods, so we're going to go with that. Should the government fund space travel? No, we have SpaceX for that. And plus, apparently there is a demand, and... Do I support nuclear energy? As long as there, again, no public subsidy. Again, I don't like government spending money on a lot of things. Local ballot issues. Should businesses be... Thank you! Should businesses be prevented from forcing their employees? Yes. Should not be a condition of employment. And that's actually very important. Should the spouses... I actually completely agree with that. Should the spouses of first responders who have been permanently disabled be exempt from paying... Yeah, of course. Of course, I would prefer if there was, no tax, but okay. So, which party do I most identify with? The Libertarian Party. So we know you are a human. Answer a survey question to continue reading this content. Which of the following have you seen online advertising for lately? We're going to say Doctor Strange, and that's basically it. And we're going to go ahead and go to show my results. So, running long on the video, it'll be almost over. And, so, looking at issues. Okay. So, I side with Gary Johnson on most 2016 presidential issues at 91%. Evan McMullen is second for me. What the hell? The Donald is at 50%. Jill Stein is at 20%. And absolutely last is Hillary Clinton at 9%. Okay. Okay. Let's look at local. Let's look at local. She's okay. I'm actually here, but there we go. That's actually where I am. So yes, you guys know that I'm in Radford. Put it in the correct. Okay, so I side with Morgan Griffith, the Republican, Janice Allen Boyd, who's a socialist, and Derek Kitts on basically nothing. So it's saying that I'm probably voting yes on both ballot measures, which I probably am. Let's go to this window and let's show more candidates. Write-in candidates. Oh, I'm going to love this one. Apparently, Daryl Castle is up there at 71. Zoltan Istvan. Oh my god. That is a name and a half. Zoltan Istvan. That's a name. Rocky De La Fuente. That's another name. I'm actually yeah. So I'm gonna do that one. Where can I see more? Okay, let's go to here. And honestly, I'm probably gonna vote for Griffith. And yeah, on that one. So let's exit that. I wanted to see more candidates. I wanted to see the other candidates. So yeah, anyway guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Sorry about the really long video. I may trim this down, but I probably won't. Anyway, peace out, and I'll see you all next time.